For decades, clean energy research has chased a single massive ambition: replicating the internal mechanics of the stars. To do that, the scientific consensus has relied on engineering scale, attempting to replicate stellar environments by heating plasma to 150 million degrees. This approach assumes the Coulomb barrier, the electrostatic force that repels subatomic particles, is a featureless wall. Overcoming it requires sufficient velocity to smash protons together through raw thermal pressure. 70 years of this brute force strategy have produced increasingly complex machinery. Yet despite billions in investment, stable ignition and a positive energy balance remain out of reach. The persistent impasse suggests our physical maps of the atom are incomplete. The roadblock may not be a lack of engineering power, but an overlooked detail in subatomic geometry. The observer-dependent theory of everything, or ODTO, offers a different starting point. It treats energy as a transition between potential and actual states, governed by the coherence of the observation loop. In this framework, the universe holds an infinite field of potentiality. Our current technology struggles to tap into it because our systems lack the internal synchronization required to channel that potential efficiently. The solution involves a shift in tactics. To capture this energy, we have to move away from violent collisions and learn to synchronize with the atom's existing structural rhythms. Establishing that synchronization requires a more granular look at what actually happens inside a proton. Traditional models treat the proton as a solid sphere. ODTOE defines it as a strange loop, a continuous cycle of observation that reproduces its own configuration. This definition alters the map of the space between particles. For a century, the Coulomb barrier has been modeled as a uniform slope of resistance that pushes protons apart. ODTO reveals a different structure. The barrier is an intricate spiral of overlapping ridges linked to the proton's mass. Specific gaps within these ridges act as resonant windows where repulsion drops. Spaced by the golden ratio, they create a rhythmic pathway. If ions are tuned to these specific energy windows, they can pass through the barrier without the need for extreme thermal velocity. Standard reactors rely on raw heat to force a collision. The ODTO reactor concept replaces that heat with geometric and temporal precision. This design uses ternary geometry. 3 magnetic coils surround a central core at exactly 137.2 degrees, mirroring the proton's architecture. The coils emit a phi pulsating field. These magnetic pulses scale by the golden ratio, creating a maximally stable plasma environment. This pulsing geometry generates coherent plasma, synchronizing the ions so they collectively hit the resonant windows in the Coulomb barrier at the exact same moment. By focusing on synchronization rather than temperature, the energy cost of fusion drops significantly. The mathematics of these subatomic loops suggests a recursive architecture. Through the principle of recursive self-similarity, the ODTOE framework indicates that these configurations repeat at smaller and smaller scales. Because this recursion has no mathematical lower bound, a single subatomic configuration carries as much structural information as a galaxy. At a deep enough level, these nested worlds can be as complex as our own. This adds a moral dimension to how we handle the atom. Nuclear fission is no longer just a release of binding energy. It is the destructive rupture of an intricately connected, nested world. Annihilation represents the absolute erasure of this architecture. When the direct and reverse actions of an observation loop collide simultaneously, the resulting collapse nullifies the entire nested reality. Extracts of energy through rupture and destruction directly degrade the underlying coherence of the system. Coherent fusion represents a constructive alternative. It is the merging of these nested worlds, resulting in a growth of connectivity and internal consistency. This leads to the principle of coherent precaution. Since we fundamentally cannot observe the deepest levels of this recursion, we are ethically obligated to act as if they contain life. This principle mandates a shift away from energy extraction through violence. Our future relies on moving toward resonance and harmony across every scale of physics. Advancing our civilization is not about finding new things to burn. It is about mastering the coherence that binds the universe together.